Hi everybody, in this short video we're going to look at Azure Security Center, ASC. This is part of the Microsoft Cloud Security for the C-Level book by Paul Keeley. Azure Security Center is an Azure service. It exists in Azure and it is for protecting your Azure-based resources, not on-prem. Azure Security Center is in everybody's subscription. When you click on Security Center, you get an overview page, and the overview page tells me about the resource health from four main components: from my virtual machines, my networking, SQL, and applications. And you can see that I have a bunch of recommendations made available to me straight away. So in terms of prevention, if I just click on virtual machines, it is going to give a list of virtual machines in the sub. It shows me which ones are critical, and I can see instantly that they're critical because, for example, they don't have endpoint protection on them. So it's not that they don't have endpoint protection, they can't see any antivirus on it at all. And so just when I highlight my virtual machines, you can see a bunch don't have disk encryption. They're missing endpoint encryption. And I get a really clear view of my machines. And then here are all of the recommendations that are missing on the boxes. So endpoint protection is not installed on 8, missing disk encryption. It is the same for networking. When I go onto networking, it shows servers. And then it says up here, look, next generation firewalls are not installed, and we have not restricted access through an endpoint. So it says here are the NSGs that aren't in place. And then when it looks at the network topologies, you can see here on the Buffalo subnet, there are 2 VMs inside the subnet. And you can see when I highlight on either of the VMs, it will say things like enable NSGs on the machines, and this was already resolved, and then restrict access through internet-facing endpoint. So if I highlight this, it will tell me that it says your NSG has an inbound rule that open access to any resource inside is available from that rule. And simply what they want us to do is they just want us to go in and tie that down. So it doesn't make sense to have this in play. When I spin over to my SQL data, here are 2 virtual machine, 2 SQL instances. You can see that storage encryption, so encryption at rest, is not enabled on them. And I can see all of the SQL and all of the storage that doesn't have this enabled. So you can see that there are 2 issues here. With SQL, it recommends turning on audit and threat detection. And with storage accounts, it recommends enabling storage encryption. So if I go to the SQL server, if I pivot through the alert system, you will see it brings me to a page to enable auditing and turn threat detection on. I just hit save once I have it in place, and hey presto, that's going to move it from an alert that's in new and high, and it will change it to resolved. And then you can also see, for example, here are a whole bunch, and there's the setting being applied. And so if you look at these storage accounts, and I highlight it says encrypt the storage account, and I move to it, and what do I just get to do? Straight away, I just get to enable encryption. Now, not all of the recommendations in Azure Security Center have the ability to apply an encryption, endpoint protection, and NSG in place, but an awful lot of them do. Like, this is just such an absolutely fantastic tool. And then last one is just applications. So it will go and look at VMs that have IIS on them, and you can see a web application firewall is not installed on these machines. So if I spin through the blades and I look at the web application firewalls, you can see it's going to say, what type of firewall do you want to go and deploy? And it gives me three WAFs, Barracuda, F5 and Imperia. If I click on Barracuda, which is one that we've used a bit, and I go to an automatically provisioned Barracuda network, it will tell me, look, this is what it's going to do. These are the highlights. This is the resources. This is the admin page you're going to use. This is what it's going to look like. And if I hit User Resource Manager and I hit Create, it will bring me over to the Azure page to go and build a WAF for me, injected in the right area to protect this machine straight away. I actually don't know of any other service that would give me the ability to go and protect an environment that quickly. So there's just a quick resource health. It shows me what's going on. How does Azure Security Center begin life? It starts off with a security policy. You can see that the security policy exists on the very top of the subscription. And if I go down to a resource group, I can simply turn the inheritance off. And then when I turn the inheritance off, I get a couple of super simple options. The first one I get is my prevention policy. And so my prevention policy, ultimately, the way I think of Azure Security Center is it's like having somebody doing a security audit on the most important part of your Azure estate, but doing it constantly. This is real-time security scanning and threat intelligence deployed to your environment. And so you can see here it's checking for system updates and vulnerabilities, endpoint protection, disk encryption, and disk encryption we can go and fix, endpoint protection we can go and fix, system updates we have to go and update, and the tool won't give you that, but it will tell you what's missing. Apply network security groups we've already had a look at, apply web application firewalls or next generation firewalls, and then the storage encryption and SQL encryption, we saw it will go and work and deploy those for you. So of a ton of these recommendations that you need on your environment, ASC will apply those for you automatically. When you apply a security policy, there are a number of recommendations that take place. So if I just show you here, I have things like that we've already seen: install endpoint protection on 8 virtual machines, enable audit and threat detection, apply disk encryption, reboot systems after updates, and it tells you the system name. Let's just have a look at that. Here is the system name that we need to reboot after an update was applied for that to become live and take effect straight away. The Security Center starts off in a basic mode on the basic tier, and you can move into the standard tier, and inside the standard tier you're going to get more enhanced threat detection, where Microsoft is looking at abnormal behavior in your environment, and it's looking at, for example, a machine that doesn't normally send email, sending email, or a lot of network traffic through a device, and Azure Security Center is going to pick it up. In my opinion, it's one of the first places that I come to look to see what's happening in an environment. And if I just go over to OMS, which you've seen in another video, so back in OMS, if I go to my beloved security and audit page, kind of my favorite page in OMS, one of the things that you notice straight away is it has a tab to say, hey, do you want to go to Azure Security Center? And so it gives me the ability straight away to say, yes, I do. Go to Security Center, and it will just pivot back and it will bring you back to the location that you were working at. So I spend quite a lot of time in Security Center. When I'm working with new customers, I say, what's your plan? What's your project plan for enabling Security Center and working on it? A couple of quick things on it. This is a super fast security defense in depth approach that you can take to your resources. Obviously, you see from the list that it's going to affect IaaS and PaaS resources. It doesn't affect SaaS, but you're not responsible for the security of SaaS. Microsoft are. Quick thing to understand is you apply it very quickly. It works very simply. There's almost no setup in this and getting it working. The one thing that you do need to understand is before you go and enable the solution, you do need to think about, for example, if I'm going to apply an NSG, why wasn't there a network security group in my deployment template? Why isn't there one there in the first place? But either way, if you can get to the point that all of this turns green, and if you can go back to OMS so that all of this turns green, you're going to end up with a much safer, secure environment. That is my Security Center short video as part of Born in the Cloud. Thanks so much for watching.